And welcome back to GBS Morning Extra. If you're just joining us, today we are discussing about how to handle the remains of a person suspected or having passed away following COVID-19 infection. Now, recently in the month of March, the government released a document together with other partners like WHO and other health practitioners on how to handle and dispose of these bodies. Now, this, you will remember, my viewer, follows shortly after what happened in Ugenya, where the body of one person suspected to have passed on from the COVID-19 was actually dumped into a shallow grave, which caused a lot of stir in the country, and the family members actually had to complain to the government, and this also caught the attention of politicians, and the parliament also discussed the same. But then the government came out later and said, look, there are ways to dispose of these bodies, and that is what we're going to share with you very briefly today. Now, the first step, according to the ministry, on how to handle this body is, that's the prior departure and team composition, and also preparation of these disinfectants. The ministry guidelines have it that medical practitioners should first make sure that they have full PPEs. Those are protective gears for field situation. Then they have also to be manned with a spray, just to disinfect the area whenever they go. And also they need a communicator. Now, why is it important to have a communicator with the team members as they go in the field? Now, they say that the one team should comprise of 4 members wearing full PPE for field situation, 1 spray wearing full of PPE for field situation, 1 technical supervisor not wearing PPE, that is very precise there, 1 communicator, that is a person who can interact with the family and community. That person will not be wearing PPEs, perhaps not to scare them off, and also be able to, address them in a good manner. And also there's 1 religious group representative not wearing PPE. This person could be a Muslim, this person could be a Christian or a Hindu. That actually is something that is very important for us to note. All burial or cremation management team members should be clear on their role and responsibilities, including those who is the technical supervisor, who is mostly, I would say, more like a team leader for the team. Now, disinfectants should be prepared for the same day. In this case, you don't use disinfectants prepared earlier, and this composes of 0.5% of chlorine solution for hand hygiene and 0.5 chlorine solution for disinfection of objects and surfaces. Now, in the same, we also have the second step, where now we talk about the assemble all necessary equipment. Now, they need to assemble all necessary equipment before departure. What does this mean? This means that they will have, impermeable vinyl, minimum thickness 400 microns. They should also have, they should be able to hold about, this should be able to hold about 100 to 125 kilos. That's about 100 to 125 kilos. At least 4 handles, including in 1 body bag, to allow safe hand carry, and also provide full containment of blood-borne pathogens, because in some situations you find where a body will also be releasing some kind of liquid, so then they need to be very elaborate about that as well. Now, all necessary equipment to prevent infection. What does this mean? This means hand hygiene, clean running water with soap and disposable towels recommended, or alcohol-based hand rub solutions, that also is recommended. Or the medical practitioners can also have with them chlorine solution of 0.5% when options above are not available. Now, moving on, we also have personal protective equipments. That's what is always referred to as the PPEs. For those who do not understand what the PPE is, one pair of disposable gloves, non-sterile, and also one pair of heavy-duty gloves. Now, the disposable gloves suit that should actually be used by these, and also we need a face mask. That's a face protection. They call them goggles or masks. These are very thick goggles that will not allow any form of contact either by liquid to the eyes of the wearer. And also they need footwears. Most of us like to call them gum boots or rubber boots, or if not available, shoes with puncture resistant soles and disposable overshoes. That's things that are able to be the gadget-like that are supposed to be worn on top of the shoes. Now, the waste management material consists of disinfectants. That's one hand sprayer. We have chronic solutions, one back sprayer. That's about 0.5 chlorine solution that we had mentioned earlier. Leak proof and puncture resistance sharp container. That is where they will be disposing their gloves and whatever they use after. And then they need to have like 2 leak-proof infection waste bags. You can, I don't know if you're able to see them on my screen there, but then these are bags that, there they are. 2 leak-proof infectious waste bags, one for disposable materials, that's destruction, and also one for reusable materials. Those are when it comes to disinfectants. Now, step 3 is also very important. Once the practitioners arrive on the scene, they need to prepare now for the disposal of the body. They have to involve also to include or inform also the family members. Now, prior to departure, the team leader must brief the body disposal team about how to conduct the final rites. Arrival of the body disposal team and staff should not be wearing PPEs upon arrival. That means that they should wear the PPEs upon arrival, not before their arrival. Now, when they arrive there is also etiquette that is supposed to be practiced by the practitioners. They need to greet the family members and offer, their condolences to the family members while unloading the necessary materials from the vehicle. Request respectfully for a family representative. That is the person you will be communicating with, also explaining to what they are going to do on site. The communicator should liaise with the family representative for the final rites. There's something they want to do as a family before the disposal of the body. Now, the body disposal team should ensure that they have, witnessed and other family members have understood these procedures and what they are going to do. So, as just to avoid a repeat of what we've seen in past situations where the family members were not happy with how the situation was handled and how the proceedings were being carried out. Now, after this is done and the family members have actually been brought to understand everything, the 4th step will include now the practitioners themselves, wearing the gear and making sure that they are well equipped and they put on the adequate personal protective equipments. Those are the PPEs. And as they do that, they have to take care of, locate the room where the remains are, open the windows and doors for optimal light and ventilation, and also evaluate the size and the weight of the disease in order also to choose the right size of the body bag before, they embark on that, because they might put an oversize in a bag that cannot hold, and maybe it gets torn, and that would cause some problem. Now, the bag needs to be opaque. That's according to the rules. If a coffin is to be used, the coffin also should be placed outside the house, not inside the house. Identify with the family members the rooms and annexes, that's about the bathroom, that were used by the deceased patient, as they need to be cleaned and disinfected. Now, the next step, which is the fifth step now, is very important. That is where now the medical practitioners get into the room and prepare themselves. As you can see on the screen, the medical practitioners, they get in there. The entry into the house with at least 2 persons of the body disposal team. The laboratory team collects post-mortem sample for the confirmation to see. That's using the oral swab and protocol. Place the body in a body bag or in previous material, in case there's in case of secretions or mutilations in the body. Disinfecting the outer side of the body by spraying over the surface of the body with a suitable disinfectant. That's the solution we had mentioned earlier, 0.5 chlorine solutions or something like that. Also dress the body. Now, important notes to be now followed here are the manipulation of the body should be minimal. Now, the remains should not be washed or embalmed. That is according to the rules. Now, in the sixth stage of or the sixth step is now the body has been put inside the bag. Now, this body, remember we said that the coffin should remain outside the house. Now, once they get the body inside the body bag, now the placement of the body bag in the coffin by persons wearing PPEs. In case of no coffin is available, the body bag should be used by the persons wearing the PPEs. Now, place the clothes and other objects of the deceased patient inside the coffin if the family so wishes. That's to allow the family members to close the coffin to ensure that and also ensure that they are wearing gloves at that time, because sometimes maybe the family members would wish to have one person give the final rites to the body. That's why the medical practitioners are actually asked to allow one of the family members, if they so wish, put on gloves to close the coffin. Disinfect the coffin. Respect the grieving time by requesting the family. Remember earlier there was also the condition that maybe a health practitioner should also be, a religious person should also be present. Now, the step 7 is now the one very important, decontaminating the environment. Remember, there maybe the clothing or the material used by the deceased or that were found in the room. Collection of the solid objects. Disinfection is needed in the situation, or burning and cleaning of disinfection and environment. That's the room, the house, by people wearing PPEs. That's also very, very, very important, and it's something that also needs to be put into consideration. The bed linens and the objects that were used by the deceased, mattresses, straws, mats, soiled with body fluids of the deceased patients should also be burned at a distance from the house to ensure the family has given permission, of course, to destroy the mattresses, straws, and mats, because these are highly contaminated materials. Step 8, which is very important now, when you look at step 8, that's the removal of the PPEs. That now is for the safety of the handlers or the practitioners. Disinfect boots without removing them first. Then, secondly, they remove the boot, the aprons, untie the aprons and remove it and discard it into the infectious waste bag for disinfection. Wash the outer gloves, and remove the outer gloves also. And also we see the removal of the hoods and so on and so forth. Removal of goggles now comes at that stage. Now place the goggles in a waste bag for disinfection. That's because, as we mentioned earlier, there are those PPEs that are reusable, the some that are not reusable. Now, when we move on, there's they remove the inner gloves, and that's the grasp, the outer edge of the first glove and peel it off, because also remember the other hand might have touched some contaminated material or something like that. Then while removing the second glove, you hold it and drag with a bare finger using the second glove. Now that is very important. Use that, and wash hands and also sanitize if possible. Now the next step, which is the ninth step, is now for the practitioners to return to their health care facility. That's the team, of course, and to organize incineration for the single-use disposable equipment at the hospital or in any other designated place for burning this type of equipment. Remember, we had two kinds. We have those that are reusable, and those are for single use. Now, it may be worthwhile to use a checklist to ensure that all the steps are followed during the entire process, from arrival at the house until the end of the funeral. Any problem detected should be reported immediately by the practitioners upon returning to their health facility. Now, those are the simple steps, and that have actually been that were released by the government in a booklet that I think every medical practitioner should have a hold of, to help them just in case they are faced with a situation where they have to handle a body that has been deceased following or suspected to have been deceased following the COVID-19 infection. Now, we take another very quick break. When we come back, we are going to have with us Bernard, who is also now going to talk to us more about these steps, and also how him and also other medical practitioners are handling themselves and in this situation. So let's take a very quick break. We'll be right back after this.